uh, distraction of drivers. So maybe they might be using a cell phone or another electronic device or be distracted by something. Driving under the influence and excessive speeding, of course. Even though we continue to have our speed radar operations along the roadway, we still have persons exceeding the speed limit. And of course, the infrastructure, um, less than more, um, cause a little issue. And if you realize, I don't know if you have noticed, but in St. Mary, we don't have any electronic traffic regulators in the parish. So for the most part, basically, in terms of regulation, we are self-regulated. Or sometimes you might have officers there regulating. And of course, if you're entering from St. Anne, you would see that, especially in the mornings, that volume of traffic that flows through to St. Anne, that we have officers out there monitoring what is happening. But just to say that while we did great 2025, we want to do even greater for 2026. So just to give you an idea where our minds are and what we intend to do to improve what we did on what we did last year for this year. And so we at the Jamaica Constabulary Force, as one of our strategic priority, is to improve public safety and confidence. And I believe that we should start especially in our towns. So the intention is to take back our towns and take back our towns in the sense that we want to have smooth and free flow of traffic in our town centers. So we will be promoting using the transportation centers that exist and those areas that can be used for parking to avoid congestions in our towns. We also plan to, well, we have started last year, and I must say that during the December period, we started as the initiative. We would have seen where, for the most part, we've had most of our collisions along the Ryanova Main Road. So over last year, the December period, going into the festive season and all that, we started an initiative that we actually are out on the roadway in the hours between 12 and 4 a.m. That's the time when all the persons who don't drink responsibly would want to skate on the road, not the toll, but skate on the St. Mary Road. So we are out there in our numbers trying to reduce the likelihood of these collisions. And we will be continuing these operations into 2026. We also plan to have some additional night exercises to reduce those offenses, night offenses like lighting and other offenses that are also contributory factors to some of these accidents. We want to increase the number of persons who are so trained to use the electronic device, and as the Jamaica Constabulary, and we are improving on our use of technology. We don't use the ticket books that we normally use. We have a electronic system in place, so we're trying to improve the amount of persons that are so trained, so we can have more persons out there to do prosecution. Also, we want to continue our collaboration with ITA and TAJ to have operations along the roadways to ensure that the vehicles are safe. And just to touch on the overloading of trucks, we started an operation also last year along the Anatomy belt, and we, of course, we took several photographs, ma'am. So we have that to be added to our arsenal in terms of prosecution where the court cases are concerned. So yes, we have been taking our photographs. So we also will be increasing our operations in that sphere also. All right. So we want to also strengthen our relationship with the court team to ensure that whatever is causing the backlogs, whatever is causing the issues, we can have the matters dealt with expeditiously. So we can have persons persons matters dealt with as soon as possible. Uh Technology. So I'm on technology again. I'm a techie, so of course technology has always been a part of my policing. I have been speaking to my commander and of course some other stakeholders in relation to looking at improving the monitoring of the St. Mary division. So uh, we want to look at also having our CCTV camera system in St. Mary so we can have greater monitoring both nights and also day. So I am hoping that the community, thank you. I'm hoping that the community at large will buy into this so we can actually boast our camera system similar to Montego Bay and Ocheres. So we can say, yes, St. Mary is also up there in the clouds. Yes. So, all right. So, um, in terms of empowering, though, all right. So you started out with this symposium. So it is also our intention to also go into the communities, the schools, the churches, and I mean into the streets and all of that to have our empowerment exercises also. Because as I said, it is not our intention to prosecute or punish, but we want persons to be more educated on what is expected of them, and of course, we will have a safer St. Mary. So, in closing, we at the St. Mary Division, we look forward to a wonderful 2026 and a greater synergy in terms of our working relationship. And of course, we look forward to the support and the synergy. So, thank you. All right, so I think the situation will dictate who gets prosecuted. And of course, we know that it is a culture in Jamaica. I remember back in the day, about in the 90s, there was a video on TV with a man driving at the time, a ladder, and ladders were used for taxi. And the driver had his hand out in the road. And unfortunately, accident happened and he lost the arm. You understand? So, as I say, the situation will dictate. And I'm sure that if you are actively using your arm to signal, the officer would not be so, I'm not saying wicked, would not be so inexperienced and unaware are so malicious to prosecute you for just giving a mere hand signal. So, I'm saying, sir, if you intend to give hand signals, let it be that this is just your arm that is exposed and not your head, your body, and maybe your feet out there. All right.
All right, just to add to that one. So, he said prosecution. If you appear before me and you are the driver and you explain, and the officer possibly was overzealous in giving the ticket because it was a hand signal, because I am from the ancient days, I will not say my age. But yes, I was brought up when you did the whole this and that. So we know. And we know the slow down signal, all of that. So I was taught those hand signals, right? Yes. If you appear before me and you indicate as the driver that is what you were doing, believe me, you're not going to be paying a fine at all. Understand? Whether it be so, if you challenge it by coming before the court and that's explained to the judge, There is no reason, as I keep on saying to people, you have to give me a reason not to believe you. I'm very serious. Ask any officer that works into my courtroom or anybody that appears before me. You have to give me a reason not to trust you. From you explain that to me, that you're the driver and you were doing that. You cannot be the loader man. You cannot be the passenger and be saying that you did a stick out your hand and whatever, and then expect me to say that that was not body protruding. You're not the one driving the vehicle. Understand? So from that is done, it will be addressed by the judge. Yes. Sergeant Dawkins, yes, please. And don't be shy, people. Don't be shy. Thank you for the question.
Morning. Morning. All right.
He's there. He's still there. Don't go away.
All right. As Your Honor explained, for the offense of body protruding, it is an offense that the driver is exempt. It's on. Right. Right. As Your Honor explained, as it relates to so I would suspect that if my colleagues effect a prosecution, it would be for somebody other than the driver. So if you're not the driver,
No.
you are not supposed to be having any part of your body outside the vehicle, right? And if the vehicle is fitted with mechanical devices to give the signal, then that is satisfactory. And the hand signal is not a requirement in that situation.
Thank you.
All right. Good morning again. Sir Bedford, just one question, please, before you.
Yes, spark some interest, man.
Is
Careful.
is the police aware? Well, I'm going to project because I don't know. Is the police aware that persons have complained and come before the court in relation to tickets being issued based on a license plate? They are aware. I just want to know, and what is being done to address that?
Will you address it in your presentation, Senior Superintendent Darby? So what they're saying is that tickets are being done just based on license plate number. So it's not that the vehicle was even stopped. So the offense is seen, it's ticketed, and then I guess the ticket is sent to the person. Or the warrant, not even the ticket. The warrant is now executed, and the person now appears before the court. So the persons are saying, but I did not even receive a ticket. So I was not aware of these offenses. So, well, and we do have persons who were out of the jurisdiction at the time. So someone else was using their vehicle and this offense would have occurred, but they were not aware of it. So it is something that I know that we have highlighted to the office, and it's something that needs to be addressed, how we're going to deal with it. And of course, for me, I will not take a guilty plea for someone who explains I was not the one operating the vehicle just because I want to get rid of the ticket. I'm not going to do it. All right. Yes, please.
Morning. I'm a ticket offender and I'm here, as you said.
Use the mic, sorry. Try.
Morning, guys.
Yes, morning.
I'm a ticket offender, but as she said, coming in is the first step of doing the right thing.
Yes.
My thing is, I had a few cases here at the parish court here with ticketing, yeah? And the only reason why I come to the court is because I'm challenging the situation at the time.
And that's fine.
But then I recognize now I had my license checked out, and my previous case that I had here last was thrown out, was dismissed. And I get to understand now that this ticket is still showing up on my license, and also a ticket from 2022 is still standing. And the ticketing thing that you guys issued is like the supermarket receipt. The minute
So
you
it's
put
faded.
it down, it fades. Then I don't remember what the date is, unless I'm currently probably take a picture of it, and then that's how I keep it. But it keep disappearing. Is that
Take a
I don't-
picture of it. Okay.
yeah?
So I will admit that I have received traffic tickets. I didn't say that very loud, right? So you take a picture of the ticket and you take a picture of the receipt as well after you have made the payment. What that does is that, and then I email it to myself. So what that does is that I memorialize the ticket and also the payment. So in the event, as we know, systems fail at times, then I can say I have a copy of the ticket and I also have a copy of the payment that I made. So I pull it up in my email and I have it there. No, everybody is not going to be, and that is going to be the limited tech savvy that I am. Limited. So I'm not going to go into the whole cloud thing and whatever. But that's my limitation. But I do that to preserve because I love evidence. And hence the feel. Right? So my thing is, you have the evidence, you can show us. What happens if you come before us and you're saying, but I paid that ticket before? What I do, you're not going to be allowed to plead guilty again. We're going to do a search. So matter is stood down. We ask for the office to do a search to see if we can locate that. And we bring the court sheet and we look to see if it was dealt with. If it was dealt with, it is noted. Based on that, we also advise them to advise the person for our system to make sure it is updated accordingly. So do not believe you're going to be paying the ticket again. You just need to explain. Do not be scared to indicate in court you have a question or you have a challenge. Do not be afraid to indicate. I promise you I don't bite, and I don't think any of my judges do so either. Right, Judge Davis, right, Judge Kellier? We don't. So you indicate, I have a problem or I have a question, and believe me, you will be allowed to ask your question. And if we can't answer, take my word for it, we're going to find somebody. We're not somebody who is going to be like, well, I don't know the answer out of my... No, none of us like that. It's going to be, let me find out for you. Let me call somebody from the office, see if they can explain, and let's find a solution. Corporal Leng is here. Yes, Corporal Leng is called by me. Show me how this works, what happens, all of that. He assists, he steps outside. What is the situation? He comes back, he gives me the information, we can proceed with the matter. So take my word for it. We try to solve the problems right there. Understand? Just indicate what the issue is and we will try to assist you. All right. All right. We will now have Senior Superintendent of Police, Mr. Darby, and he's from PSTEB, and he will be addressing us. And as I indicated earlier, yes, court still a keep.
Thank you, Madam Chairperson. Allow me also to stand on the protocols that have already been established and say a pleasant morning to all. It is really good to be in St.Mary, to drive all the way down from Kingston and to be at a symposium like this. So I greet you on behalf of the Commissioner of Police, Dr. Kevin Blake, also on behalf of the head of the Public Safety and Traffic Enforcement Branch, Assistant Commissioner of Police, Dr. Gary Mackenzie. So I wish to thank you, and I can report, sirs, to PSTEB and the High Command that the job that you are doing here is evidenced by the remarks that was made in the welcome, and also in the content of what was said by the operations officer, Mr. Beckford. And so the partnership, as I said before, with all stakeholders is very, very, very critical to successful policing. So today I will outline traffic policing procedures under Jamaica's Road Traffic Act, with the emphasis on how the law is applied operationally by police officers and how these procedures interact with the court processes. So we look at the Road Traffic Act as an operational framework. It provides the statutory authority for police intervention on public roads. For police officers, the Act and its regulations functions as an operational guide
defining when, how, and to what extent police powers may be exercised. Traffic procedures are therefore not discretionary inventions of the police. They are actions grounded firmly in legislation and supported by regulations, by rules, and by established practice. So when you look at vehicle stops and driver verification, and a lot has been circulating about the police powers with certain vehicle stops. So we are empowered to stop vehicles to examine driver's licenses. And I know that there might be different views on that statement from the attorneys that are present, the clerk of courts, the honorable judges. And that is the nature of law. It is alive. And it is always contentious, and which is why we have the different tiers of court. So we examine driver's licenses, we verify registration, fitness, and insurance. We inspect the road worthiness of vehicles, and we enforce compliance with the Road Traffic Act, traffic signs, all the rules pertaining to the roads. Operationally, officers are trained to conduct these stops safely, both for themselves and for the motoring public, identify themselves clearly, communicate the purpose of the stop. You know, these encounters form a significant portion of matters that eventually end up here at the courts. Traffic enforcement and ticketing procedures. When breaches of the Road Traffic Act are identified, the officers may issue traffic tickets, they may serve summonses, or they may arrest offenders. And these arrests also include warrants, which has become, especially with the electronic nature of the warrants being issued now, a very large part of policing. And I really encourage persons, the gentleman spoke earlier that the first step in remedial for himself is to attend court. I encourage persons to attend court or to pay the tickets, or if you come to court to contest it, to do so. But don't just get the tickets and put them down and then the warrants come out and you put yourself in a position where your freedom at some point will be taken away and you will be taken to court. And it is worse when you have to cross parishes to execute the warrants. You know, I know persons spend a lot of time in custody because they are found in another parish and have to be taken miles and when you work out the logistics to take that person, it sometimes causes the person to be in custody for some time, which is what we don't want, because we really want to have that space for real criminals, not for persons that are doing a lawful act of driving, but allow themselves to fall into the realm of being put in custody on a warrant. So we just want to encourage persons to, and you know, when I say persons, not just the offenders, but the family members, the mothers who know of their loved ones who have breached the Road Traffic Act and have not complied with the procedures. So from an enforcement standpoint, accuracy and compliance with procedures are essential because deficiencies can compromise prosecutions and judicial outcomes. So we set up checkpoints and spot checks, and they are conducted as part of planned operations aimed at improving road safety and compliance. And these operations are led by supervisors. And as I said before, we focus on licenses, fitness, insurance, and impairment of enforcement. And from the police perspective, these procedures are designed to be lawful, transparent, and consistent while ensuring safety for the officers and the public. Persons have spoken Many persons before me this morning have spoken about our position in Jamaica here as it relates to crash, collisions, and the fatalities that result. And I just want to go into that for a moment. So the collision response and scene management. The police procedures are clearly defined. We secure the scene, assist injured persons, manage the traffic flow, conduct preliminary investigations, and preserve evidence. And so the crash problem that we have had over decades in this country is something that we all have to work together to address. Can anyone guess how many persons have lost their lives on our roads in the last decade? Can anyone prefer a guess? 4,102 lives have been lost. 4,102 lives has been lost on our roads in the last decade. And so we really have a crash problem. From 2016 to now, we have lost over 300 persons per year. The lowest year was 2017, when 322 persons lost their lives. The highest was in 2022, when 488 persons lost their lives. So during this 10-year period, it has never gone below 200, never gone below 300, as a matter of fact. And Mr. Beckford spoke about what occurred here in 2025 in this parish. 28 persons losing their lives. 26 of them were males. That's what you said, right, Mr. Beckford? Right. So we see the need for proper behavior on our roads. Proper behavior. As I said before, driving is an essential activity that we must do, but the manner in which it is done is what caused the problem. So I just want to tell you a little bit about the categories of road users that have been killed. First of all, I want to tell you what happened in 2025 nationally compared to 2024, because that is what we do in policing. All aspects of policing, we compare periods so that we can improve in whatever we do. And I just have to achieve, I think, till since 1995, 94. Achieve, I think, till since 1995, 94. Right. And our aim is to go below 600 for this year. We want to create that new normal. When persons see 500 murders, you must be appalled. Yes, we want to make this country safer. But as I said before, the fatal collisions and deaths, we also have to work on reducing that number. So in 2025, there were 374 persons being killed on our roads, which is 9 more than the 365 in 2024. Motorcyclists. I am a traffic motorcyclist. I spent most of my time in the JCF, in the younger years of the JCF, as a traffic motorcyclist. And I can tell you nowadays I don't like bike because of the what happens on the road with our motorcyclists. 111 of the 374 deaths were motorcyclists for 2025. 111. So of all the categories, they are the most. And In 2024, it was 122. So the efforts made, we did get a reduction of 11 in 2025, but it's not nearly enough. Not nearly enough for the contribution. When you look at a parish like Westmoreland, some 90% of the fatalities there are because of motorcyclists. You find motorcyclists head on with each other. When most of our roads can accommodate 10 or more motorcycles side by side, they still find a way to head on with each other. Consistently over the past year, we have seen motorcyclists being killed because of their carelessness. And so that is something that the JCF is concentrating on the offenses attendant to motorcycle driving, the non-wearing of helmets, because that we find is one of the main causes why when there's a crash, there are fatal injuries because of the absence of a helmet. The new Road Traffic Act made some provisions in terms of the licensing, the driver's license for motorcyclists. Before, motorcyclists get the learners and ride forever with it. So the new Road Traffic Act enforces that our mandates that a person who wants to drive a motorcycle, because you don't ride a motorcycle, you ride horses and donkeys and bicycle, but you drive a vehicle with an engine. And so driver's licenses are required for motorcycles, and provisional licenses, learner's license, is only for a year, lasts for a year, renewed once, and by that time you're supposed to learn to drive the motorcycle or the car or whatever that you are driving, and then you get your license. And while you're learning with that provisional license, you are to have the L placed at the front and the rear of the motorcycle, and whoever is teaching you must be on another motorcycle, properly regulated and licensed, and drive within 6 meters of you that is learning. Those are the provisions of the 2018 Act. And we're also encouraging employers. You know, we see a lot of motorcycles, and I must say these are the more legal ones, the one with the most paperwork being done and everything, that deliver food, the delivery motorcycles. Yes, good service, but the employers, you must ensure that the drivers have their license and not the learners, because learners, as I said, is for learning. It's not for the everyday operation of a vehicle. Right, and so we are going to be concentrating on the motorcycle. So the main causes of crashes: speeding. Mr. Beckford spoke about it earlier too. Speeding. Encourage persons to leave on time. Leave on time for your destination, so you're not encouraged to speed. Improper overtaking, improper lane change, driving under the influence of drink and drug are some of the main causes of our crashes. So when you look at investigative and evidentiary procedures, traffic prosecutions depend heavily on the quality of police investigations. And so we continue to maintain that quality. I am pleased by the remarks from the judge, Madam Chairperson, both in chambers and here at the podium, as she spoke about the collaboration with the as to how to really put their thing properly together to place before the court. The pictures that form part of the evidence is a good thing, and I just encourage SP and it to continue. So accurate note-taking, collection and preservation of evidence, proper handling of exhibits, timely preparation of case files. And I know that the clerks really appreciate the timely preparation and submission of case files. So officers are trained to ensure that the evidence gathered under the Road Traffic Act meets the standards required for judicial scrutiny. Police interaction with the court process. Police officers routinely interact with courts through attendance at traffic courts. When you go to the court user groups right across Jamaica, that is often repeated and by is a lawyer, everyone is a judge, and police too. So public accountability is important. So the Jamaica Constabulary Force continues to invest in training and development, data-driven deployments, collaboration with the Judiciary and the Transport Authority. And indeed, all our stakeholders at the ITA, the TAJ, and I must recognize the representatives there. So these efforts are aimed at improving both enforcement outcomes and court efficiency. So in closing, traffic procedures under the Jamaica Road Traffic Act represent a shared responsibility between the police and the courts. The police enforce the laws on the road, the courts adjudicates its application. Both institutions are united by common objectives such as public safety, fairness, and rule of law. So we welcome the continued dialogue with the Judiciary to strengthen understanding, improve procedures, and ensure that the administration of the traffic justice serves the best interests of the Jamaica public. I pray for all Jamaica, God's blessing and protection in the year 2026 that we have started, and that we will have a much safer year on our roads than we did in 2025. Thank you.
So just anecdote. Thank you so much, SSP Darby. Yesterday in court, we had a gentleman pleading not guilty at first to no driver's license as it relates to a motorbike. So he thought that would have been the end of it. We're going to set a trial date for the matter. We're going to subpoena the officers for statement and things like that. I said, sir, you sure you really want to go down that line as it relates to you saying that you have your driver's license? He said, yes, at first. I said, okay, let's check the date as it relates to when that situation is, because I am on the spot judge. That's how I operate. So my clerk went ahead, got the officer to do the check. So present day, he has his driver's license amended to include the motorbike. But on the day that he was ticketed, of course he did not. Now, with that information in court, what did you think he'd do next? Change his plea and move on. Thank you very much. Right. And, SSP Darby was talking about the whole thing about the media being here and all of that. And there was an incident as well that happened re Pinkwall, right after Melissa, where persons came in and mentioned their tickets that they had. Of course, none of us are draconian in how we operate. And the person on Pinkwall decided to comment on the fact that these persons were paying massive fines and they could not gain access to court that was not keeping and all of that. And any police officer who was in my courtroom that day and any litigant who was in my courtroom and in any other judge's courtroom know that on that day and for the days that followed, they paid the fines that were on their ticket and not the fines that are normally charged in court. So there are things that will go out there in social media that are not true. But people are all lawyers, they're police officers, and they're judges on social media. Just for the likes and for the comments. But fact check right here. Yes. All right. At this time, we're going to invite Her Honor, Mrs. Mitzi Beaumont Daly from the Corporate Area Traffic Court Senior Judge.
Good morning, everyone. I stand on the protocols previously established. It is an honor for me to stand before you today, not only as the senior judge of the traffic court, but not only as the senior judge of the traffic court who is entrusted with the responsibility of upholding the laws concerning road use and, more importantly, safeguarding human life, but also as a road user, one who shares the same roads with you, one who is confronted with the same risks and responsibilities as everyone else at the venue today. I must applaud my sister, Mrs. Kellio, senior judge of the St.Mary Parish Court, and her team. She had me in tears earlier, almost in tears. And I must commend her for hosting this timely symposium under the theme, Share the Road, Empowering Traffic Users, Share the Knowledge with the Community. Having looked at the theme, this morning, in terms of my address, I've taken into consideration same, and my primary focus will be on the need for compliance, knowledge of the law, individual and shared responsibility, and effective collaboration. And while looking at that, I will indicate to you all the experiences that I've had at the traffic court in terms of, and this is the traffic court in Jamaica, which is the one in corporate area, traffic court, the one in Kingston, that serves Kingston and St. Andrew. That is where I'm currently assigned. So I'm going to indicate to you what my experiences are. I'll share them, and I'll also share the experiences that we have as it relates to the solutions that we've created to deal with some of those issues at the court. But I will also look at the need for compliance, as I had indicated, and the need for having knowledge of the law, and also taking into account your own individual responsibility as a user of the road. Having sit on the bench every day, I have seen consequences of what happens on our road as a result of the choices that we have made. Indiscipline on the roads, little or no respect for the law, and ultimately, a lack of respect for human life. At the court, we see a number of offenses, and they are repeated offenses, and we've found that at the traffic court in particular, we have a lot of excessive speeding offenses, reckless, dangerous, and careless driving, drivers operating motor vehicles without a valid driver's license, without insurance, without fitness, not wearing seatbelts, not wearing helmets, overtaking when there is no clear view, overtaking causing obstruction for the PPV operators, no badges, no taxi globe, and no road licenses. And they are also packing up the vehicles. So we've seen that where they would have carried more passengers than what they ought to carry. Now, all of that in complete disregard for public safety. We also have offenses, we see offenses where drivers are charged under the influence of alcohol. Public passengers, as I'd said, being overloaded, racing for passengers, disobeying traffic lights, disobeying other traffic signs, and placing profit above human life. When these matters come before the court, persons treat them as trivial. You know, it's just another offense, but judge, it's just a seatbelt offense. I was just going right down the road there, and so I didn't think that I needed to have my seatbelt. And, you know, Judge, I just stop here to make a call and I pull over. And, you know, it's a $10,000 ticket that I get, you know. All right? And they also say, well, Judge, you know, even when I stop on the road, it's just, me really did feel hungry. And it's just a bag juice. I stop for buying, you know, and the police charge me for obstructing traffic. Right? So these are complaints that we constantly hear in the courts. They are being treated as casual, as trivial. Some people say, well, once you impose the penalty, we have the money. We have the money, Judge. How much you say again? $5,000? Yeah, man, I have the money. I can't pay that. Right? And so they treat them as merely a cost of doing business. Some don't show up at all. And so they completely ignore the summonses that are issued. When they are charged by the police, they completely ignore that. They don't come to court. When they get the tickets, they don't show up. And so in those cases, warrants are issued for them. Now, what I'd like you to just think about is this, that every single case that comes before the court, it involves lives. And the actions that we take, some can lead to permanent, life-altering consequences that no apology, no fine, no sentence can undo. Now, road traffic violations do not break the law, they break lives. Loved ones who will never return home. Young people permanently disabled whose future is altered in seconds, a split second. Losses beyond physical, losses beyond the physical. So you have lifelong emotional scars. Persons having to bury their children. Children having to bury their parents. Children growing up without guidance or care. And also the accused persons living with this guilt. Permanent guilt. Having a criminal record. And the knowledge that one act that they have committed, sometimes what they think is just an act, can change the lives of many forever. Now, the presenters that came up earlier, when they were presenting, they spoke about the traffic laws and that there are established laws that ought to be followed. Now, the court will continue to enforce these laws. Compliance with the law is not a favor to the authorities, but it is a duty that each of us owe to one another. And so it is important that all of us, as road users, and I think everybody here is a road user in one way or the other, whether you're a driver, a passenger, a pedestrian, or otherwise. Now, it is important that all of us apprise ourselves of the laws. And this is not only in relation to the laws relating to road use, but also generally, all the laws that exist in Jamaica. I've seen so many times in the traffic court, a number of persons would have come in the court and they have indicated that they have no knowledge of what the law says. And sometimes we take the time, actually, once they indicate that they have no knowledge of what they are charged for, we would go through I personally go through, and the other judges in the court, and I know that the same happens in St.Mary, that we go through the legislation, we read the provisions so that they can be in an informed position to make their plea. Now, while we do that, it is important that you have that personal responsibility to empower yourself to know exactly what it is that is in the Road Traffic Act, the Transport Authority Act, the road traffic regulations, so that if it is that you are ticketed, if it is that you're summoned, if it is that you're charged by the police, you can say whether in no uncertain terms, I am guilty or I am not guilty of the offense, and you are in a position to defend yourself accordingly. Now, for those who do not know the provisions of the law, you can purchase this legislation. So I implore you to purchase a copy of the Road Traffic Act and the regulations. And you are going to, if it is that you have outstanding tickets, you will need both. So you're not going to only need the new one, but you're also going to need the old one. So the old Road Traffic Act and the regulations and the new Road Traffic Act and the regulations. The Transport Authority Act has not yet been changed, but the Transport Authority Act would be very useful to you, especially the PPV drivers on the road. Bearing in mind that the different rules will apply depending on the date on which the offense was committed. So if it is that the offense was committed before February 1, 2018, the 1938 Road Traffic Act would apply. If it is that the offense is committed after that, then whether it is that your persons here may not have been familiar with the old act in the first place, but you'll still get that kind of information. One of the sore points, and I think that one of the things that most persons raise in the court, one of the concerns that everybody has, is the demerit points, the suspension and disqualification of license. A lot of persons would come to court and say, Judge, if I plead guilty, will my license be taken? How many points I have, Judge? And so this impression that you already have points, just want to let you know, you don't have points. You only have points when you're convicted. When you have committed the offense, you've pleaded guilty, the penalty is imposed. That is when you have points. But there is another catch, because you also have points. If it is that you've committed the offense, you go to the tax office and you pay for that ticket. The points are also recorded. So it's important for you to apprise yourself of the point system, but not just the point system, because the idea is that you prevent, you instead of trying to say, well, I wonder how many points I have and all of that, you try to prevent yourself from committing any offense at all on the road. So in the 1938 Act, the 1938 Act mandates the courts to make disqualification orders in circumstances where 10 or more demerit points have been accumulated. So for 10 or more, the Act says 6 months so it's 10 to 13, 6 months, 14 to 19, 1 year, and 20 or more, 2 years. And that's what the law says, and it's mandatory. Persons would have come before the court with matters prior to the new legislation being in place, offenses that are committed prior to that, and say, Judge, you can't give me a bly. When the court says, sir, please hand over your license to the officer. I'm going to make a disqualification order. And because you have accumulated 10 points, 11 points, 12 points, whatever the point is, as long as it is more than 10, they would say, Judge, can you just give us a bly? Now, understand that in the circumstances where you would have committed the offense prior to February 1, 2018, the 1938 Act is applicable. And once you have accumulated those 10 points, the disqualification order will be made, because the law says it is mandatory for the court to do so. So the court shall make that disqualification order. In the new legislation, because of the ITA's responsibility now being widened, so the ITA now has that, although it had the regulatory responsibility, the point system that was previously stated in the 1938 Act is no longer in the new legislation. But it does not, yes, the point system, not for the court, and it's the court that I'm addressing. So for you, the ITA, it is there. You will now take that into consideration. And it's the same point system where it is the 10 to 13, 6 months, 14 to 19, 1 year, and 20 or more, 2 years. However, that doesn't prevent the court from assessing the matters, bearing in mind the demerit point system that was previously in the law. Because the new legislation gives the court the power. What it does is that it gives the court the power to determine the circumstances under which a disqualification order should be made and to make same accordingly where necessary. So, for example, if the person has committed the offense, if you've committed offenses and you come before the court and you do not have any demerit points, but the offense is severe and the court considers it as one in which your license should be taken, the court can make such an order under the new legislation. I know that there are some concerns raised, especially in the corporate area. I'm not sure if it's the same in St.Mary, where persons would have been ticketed for the fog lamps being on, and they would come to court from time to time saying, but judge, it's automatic. It come with the car. And therefore, what I want you to bear in mind is that, and I think a lot of persons would have been mixing up the daytime running light with the fog lamps. So they are very different. And the law recognizes the fog lamp and certain conditions that need to be to exist when you have the fog lamps on. If you don't, the conditions are not in existence, then it means that you can be ticketed for same. The same with the electronic communication device, and that is also a sore point. I know that a lot of persons are even up to present are discussing the provision and whether it is that they are in compliance or not in compliance. Persons are not aware of what the provisions are, and what I would say in this regard to a limited extent is this: that once it is that you are using the phone in an hands-free mode, you're okay. So you have to look at the legislation and see what hands-free mode is, because it is defined. You're not touching the phone. You have right. So you're not handling the phone any at all. Once you are not doing that, then you should be okay. All right? But the law recognizes that if it is that you have the cell phone using in the driver's line of sight, if it is that you are using it to send messages and so on, then it is an offense in the law. The other thing is that I would have heard persons indicate that when it is that the fine is imposed, Judge, I don't understand. I know that Judge Robinson had just indicated for Melissa, but in relation to the fine, I don't understand. $10,000 on my ticket, and you are imposing $12,000 for the cell phone, $15,000, and so on. I don't understand that. So another thing is that if you had that knowledge of the law, you would know that there are separate penalties for the court to impose. There are separate, there's a schedule outlining the maximum penalty that the court can, the maximum fine that the court can impose, and there is a fixed penalty that the police would automatically, once the ticket is issued, place on the ticket, and that cannot be changed. So they call it fixed penalty. So the $10,000 is the fixed penalty. Once you pay that at the tax office, there is no need to come to the court. because the court does not have jurisdiction of the matters once they are paid. So the law says if it is that you have paid your ticket, the court does not have jurisdiction. But if you haven't paid it, you are now subjected to the fines that the court can impose under the law. So knowing the law will lead to better choices. When you understand the penalties, you will avoid consequences. When you appreciate the reasons as to why rules exist, compliance will now become a matter of wisdom and respect for the lives of others rather than one of fear of punishment. So if you choose to operate in an unlawful way on the road, once you're convicted and where the law allows, the court will be firm. Yes, it will be fair, but it will be firm. And it will not hesitate to impose the penalties. And where the circumstances warrant, the court will make the necessary disqualification orders. Remember that driving is not a privilege. It's a privilege. It's not a right. And if that privilege is abused, it can be taken away. The court is not about punishing, and we've heard that from morning. It's not about punishing for punishment's sake. We're not about generating revenue. I know the court that I sit in is a traffic court, and persons normally see it as a revenue generating court. But we're not about generating revenue or checking on the statistics and so on. It's about ensuring that we have safer roads, right? And our ultimate goal is really not to have any fuller courtrooms, but really safe roads. But we cannot fix the issues alone. And so what we've done, particularly at the traffic court in Kingston, we have taken a number of initiatives to deal with these matters and prevent persons from or actions, I'm sure, ultimately prevents persons from committing offenses and also from reoffending. Thank you, yes. And also helps us to have greater effective collaboration among all our stakeholders, including the users of the road. So we've had our stakeholder consultation meetings, which I know all courts have been doing. And so the JCF, the Tax Administration Jamaica, the Island Traffic Authority, the National Works Agency, the Transport Authority of Jamaica, all are involved in our discussions. And from time to time, we would have had our public education fairs all across the island so that persons can understand what it is that they need to do when they come to court and what is expected of them. But that is not all. What we have done, the difference between the corporate area traffic court and St. Mary is that based on what the SP Beckford has indicated, the electronic system is not fully in operation. And so what we have been operating on, we have some B tickets. We call them B tickets, that's the green and white. Now, those tickets are the manual tickets that are being dispersed now, that are being issued. I think that is what is being done here mostly. Or you're using the electronic tickets. Okay, so the machines are being used. Okay, all right. So there are still some B tickets that are being issued, though I'm not sure how many. Yes, but not as much. And what the electronic tickets does, what they do is that they are now on the system, a system, traffic ticketing information management system, TIMS. And the TIMS how the teams work. I'm not in a position to tell you everything, but I think our other stakeholders will get into that. But all persons are on board, including the courts, and they are restricted to a certain extent in terms of how far they go in accessing the system. Now, what we do as a court is that we update the system. Once the matters are dealt with, we assign information numbers once they come before the court, and when we address the matters in court, the system is updated to reflect what was done on that particular day. In the corporate area traffic court, we are now real time with our updates. So we have computers that are set up in our courtrooms, data conversion officers who are there listening to hear what is happening in the court. And once the orders are made and the fines are paid, the system is updated right away. Now, the system is it's not just that it's updated and that is it. Once the system is updated, the warrants, if there are warrants that are ordered for the day, and persons have a tendency not to be appearing in court when they get their tickets. Now, in the corporate area traffic court, it is not business as usual. And I think it will be the same if it is not at the St.Mary Parish Court very soon from now. So once you are absent from court, the warrant is prepared and signed real time by the judges. And so the police can indicate that they have hundreds of thousands of warrants as we speak, ready to execute. Yes, hundreds of thousands of warrants, and it's not an exaggeration. They will tell you. Yes. So the whole point about you not doing this and you, well, when I come court, it when just drag out and whatever. Compliance is the order of the day in the courts as we speak. Yes? So the vacating of the warrant is done and over with. Once you miss the dates, sir or ma'am, the court has ordered a warrant for you. And that is it. Yes. So go to the police and we'll see about the execution from there. Now understand that also when you come before the court, once the warrant is executed, the process is very different from the regular process when you find yourself and walk into court. It's very different. It's handled very differently because you're now in custody of the state and you are going to be treated accordingly. So, well, I'm hearing Mrs. Anglin saying that, well, you can come and we'll consider vacating. But if it is that the warrant is with the police, if it is, remember, the warrant is already ordered by the judge. And so persons will come before the court and say, but it was just yesterday. I don't think it was with the police yet. That's as a court to deal with the matters and deal with all the outstanding matters. We've been having night courts where night court can be had. And so we've been sitting long hours because we really want to deal with all the matters that you have. Some persons would come to the court and say, well, I really have some outstanding tickets and genuinely express an interest in getting these matters dealt with. We are willing and ready. We have sat until very late in the nights. Last year, we had Saturday courts. Judges come out from 9 o'clock, sitting until 1 o'clock every Saturday to address outstanding matters. So the court is committed to dealing with these matters. And these would be the matters that would have been outstanding well before the new legislation took effect. And so we're ready. as much as I have indicated that we're firm, we're still ready to deal with the matters because we believe that fairness and justice should be the order of the day in our courts. And so, what I want you to do today is not to let this symposium end in just talks and discussions and you sitting down and listening to the flowery presentations, but that it will result in change. Change in attitude, a change in behavior, and ultimately a change in the outcome of our roads. Thank you.
All right. He's not here. You know, Her Honor just mentioned the whole thing of triviality as it relates to tickets and the offenses as it relates to even seatbelt. There was an incident when I was a prosecutor many moons ago, and there was this gentleman before the court for causing death by dangerous driving. And this was just a simple incident of him being on Waterloo Road, zipping down to go to Devon House with his son. Met in an accident, and the son went through the windshield. So the person who died was his child. And why? The child was standing right in that middle part that you always see them have the picnic and think it look cute. Because the child is standing there having conversation and we all think it's cute. He went through the windshield. That was also the end of his marriage. That even brought an end to the marriage. So when we think of things so trivial, I am just going down the road. We do not know what can happen as you just pull out down the road. So let's not take things as trivial as just saying it's just a seatbelt. I am just going down the road. Put on your seatbelt. Advise your child to put on the seatbelt. Don't move until the child has on their seatbelt. So even as big as my kids are, which I normally talk about, if I am having my adult kids in the car, mother is not driving until seatbelt is on. And my boys know that. Car not moving until they have on their seatbelt. They could be adults a little bit more. If that is the case, go and drive your car and get serious. It's not to be trivialized. All right? All right.
Pleasant good morning, everyone. All protocols observed. So as the judge says, my presentation will be very brief. So Tax Administration Jamaica, as you all would know, we facilitate the collection of traffic ticket fines. And once you are in receipt of a traffic ticket, you have 30 days in which to pay that fine at the tax office or online, because you have the option of paying in line or online. Or online, right? So if you wish to pay online, you go on our website www.jamaicatax.gov.jm, and it's very easy to register for our online services. You register, you go ahead, you pay any time of the day, any time of the night. You are able to do that. It is important to note that presently, if you lose your driver's license and you're applying for a substitute driver's license, you'll be able to check if there are any outstanding tickets on your record. And an important thing to know.
Go ahead. Judge, I have a question for you now.
All right, good morning.
Yes.
I think it only fits.
The main hatcheries are being used for a particular reason. We sustain a 100% rate of success. Things will happen, and that will not be the case. But I can tell you that our modus operandi is to be as efficient and effective as possible, and at the same time be as humane and responsible as well. I spoke about the two-prong attack we have in terms of our licensing department. So persons who are interested to be legally a part of the system This is where our licensing department comes in. And I want to tell people this. Person say, boy, I apply for your license from how much years and I can't get a license and this all. No, we won't go there this morning. 10 days. 10 days, you can get a road license. I'm the manager. I'm telling you. There are other categories of license that will take more scrutiny and will take more time. But 90% of our license can be obtained within 10 working days. So I don't want nobody come on the street and come say, yo, I can't get a license because it's rare, blah, blah, blah. No. We have what it takes to produce a license within 10 working days. Persons may say as well that there are no routes available from Timbuktu to Tipperary. No. Routes are available once you liaison with your taxi associations. They will provide the necessary information from which you can deduce what you want to do and reach out to the transport authority, and we will process your license. So there's no excuse for persons to be running around illegally. The police is here, we are here, and the courts are here. We ain't going nowhere. Nowhere. And for that particular reason, we encourage persons to be a part of the public transport sector. Show us exactly what you mean to nation building. What are you bringing to the table? Stop complaining and be a part of the system. We are willing, we are ready, and we are able to assist any individual or organization that wishes to be a part of this public transport sector. As I said before, ladies and gentlemen, it is ripe and the right time for us to continue with these type of educational symposiums as we try to make the Jamaican public aware of exactly what we are for. We can't work in a sense of ambiguity. We have to be out there. Persons must see us, must be able to talk to us, must be able to get information from us, know what we are for. That's why today, again, I must say thanks to the persons who organized this. We are glad to be here. We are always willing and able to be a part of any things like this as we try to put the transport authority on the front burner and to make persons be aware of what we really stand for and what we can assist with. So when I see on the road, people, it is basically to enhance public safety and proper transportation from point A to point B. I know persons have questions, maybe a short presentation. I know the questions are going to come, and I suspect I'm prepared. So I want to, before you come to the mic, my friend, I want to make it abundantly clear that sometimes persons, the seizure of illegal vehicles can be misinterpreted. I don't think the transport authority as a whole goes around and taking up people's vehicle willy-nilly. No, we don't do that. We are trained officers. And for that particular reason, there are key ingredients that we will look for before we try to prosecute any matter. And therefore, for that particular reasons, we don't go around doing things that are not consistent with what we are supposed to do. Ochi?
Good day to you, Sir Smith.
Mhm.
All right, so I am a part of the PSTEB team here at Era 2. What we find as a major issues with our taxi operators is in relation to their PPV badges. All right, so I want to know how long it takes for them to get a badge, what is the process for them to get in a badge, and and so that we can know what to do, because many of them, when we stop and say, where is your badge? Oh, I make an application and I'm waiting for it to be printed. We don't understand. So we
Are-
want some clarity on that.
Not a problem. I'll be most willing to assist you. I'm going to call my assistant who works in the badge department to come and give us the real information.
Good day, all protocol observe. All right, for the badge process, first you pay $1,500 at the Paymaster or Bill Express if you don't have a ATM card. Take along that receipt along with your driver's license to the transport authority. Driver's license must include PPV. Upon to the office, you will fill out a training application form. That application form will be sent to the training department in Kingston. Eddie Vocal will add them within 1 week or less. So once they are added to the system, it's depend on how long they do the online training. Some person can be done in 20 minutes. Some take 3 months or more. But based on that, it's when they do the training online. The police record is when they complete the online training, come to the office, do an assessor to make sure it's the actual person doing the badge, did the training, sign a register. The police records, as the tax office would state, 1 week, 21 days. That's when you come to the office with all documents. Recommendation, police record, driver's license, passport size picture. There and then, you can get your badge within 10 working days or less.
All right, so basically, that process that sounds like a 6 months or a 4 months thing
No,
in terms of when you from the
no, it's
inception
based on
to
the
training.
customer, how long they take to do the online training.
Okay. Is your office in Tower Isle equipped with the machine to print?
Yes,
So,
miss.
so I've completed the process and everything is okay. So I come back to the office and I get my badge there.
Yes, once training is
Okay.
complete, both
I
online
just want to
and
know
on there.
for clarity for myself and my colleagues. Thank you so much.
Any other questions? Yes, there's somebody coming.
No problem. Welcome them.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I was having a problem with my badge. I was have a badge before, but pending the badge get mixed up. Driving working for a person, the car get mixed up in a other car and leave. So trying to get back my badge, it was causing a problem. I went to the transport authority and tell them say I was have a badge, but I can't find it. So they told me that I have to either report it to the station or me have to do it over back. But me I say me complete the training, go through the school process and all of that. So me I say why should I apply over again? Yeah.
All right, you can report it to the police that in case them find it in the other vehicle, as I said before, your drive previous vehicle. But you can come. Did you come to the office and explain it to us?
I went to the office, yes. But they say the system, old system was done, new system come up now, so so me not understand. That's the reason why I don't have a badge.
All right. I've listened to you intently. I don't. I'm not aware of what you're saying as being factual in terms of what we do there, not what you say. So what you can do is to come to my office tomorrow morning, and they'll accommodate you, and you'll get your badge for you as quickly as possible. Tell me name and number if you want it, you know. All right, let me be clear. Come by the office tomorrow morning. Ask for Mr. Rohan Smith. Tell the security you're here to see him personally.
All right, just to follow. I want to be clear. You have a system in place to facilitate substitutes. Because based on what he's asking, he would fall into a substitute category.
A temporary badge. You can have a temporary badge.
Right. We just want to be clear on that because based on what he's asking, if I presently hold one and for some reason it's displaced,
Come back to us and then we will
give a
sort him out. For 6 months. But we are moving away from that now. But we'll make further announcements as time goes by.
That's one. Okay. Look here, Transport Authority is one of my the persons that turn up into my courtroom a lot. It's not the only good thing. The good thing about Transport Authority is that I will totally confirm what was said by Mr. Smith, that 90 odd % of the time, the statements are on file. So what that means for me is anybody who is saying is not so, I simply turn to the clerk, and my clerk is here, and I say, read the statement for me, please. Statement is read, and then I say, are you still contesting? So, yes, and sometimes they have recordings, even better video. So there are some transport authority that even do video. So my whole thing is that it makes our lives easier. And if you just want to fool around, as I said, I am paid to be here. Yes, right. And I love that. So I will now invite Mr. Dante Matthews from the Island Traffic Authority. Come, let him feel welcome.
All right. Good afternoon, everyone. No, man. Good afternoon, everyone. Yes, it's afternoon. All right. So I am Dante Matthews, Manager of Corporate Communications and Public Relations at the Island Traffic Authority. And I'm happy that Tax Office and TA were succinct because I come with a wealth of information. Before my current role, I was a practicing journalist, so I love to give information. And I believe that public education is a major tool in ensuring that our roads are safer. So my department at the Island Traffic Authority has public education as one of our core functions. And we have partnered with the courts, or the court is a long-standing partner, right? We administer the Road Traffic Act, right, and the regulations, and as such, we have to liaise with the courts. And because we administer a law, we have our legal department. We also have our licensing and certification unit, specifically the manager that deals with the suspension and the revocation and all of that. So when the court suspend the driver's license or disqualifies or revokes, they have to send those driver's licenses to us, right? And then there's a process to retrieve that. We also have partnerships with Tax Office because they do a lot of under the Road Traffic Act, we have a lot of functions, but some of them are delegated functions to the Tax Office. So, you go to TAJ to pick up your driver's license, to renew, to get your substitute, to get your title, all of those things. We partner with the police because we do road spot checks, right? And for the road spot checks, we are very critical because when the police stops you, because the police has the authority to stop a vehicle, right? Not like the TA that can stop a PPV. We can't stop a vehicle, but the police can. And when the police stops the vehicle, we check the vehicle for our vehicles for their roadworthiness. And if the vehicle is found to be defective, we issue what is called an E1, a certificate of defects, and you will have to, and the registration plates are removed. You will have to remedy those defects and then get an E2, which is a certificate of defects remedied, in order to get back the registration plate. And of course, we partner with them for public education efforts as well. We partner with Transport Authority. So basically, everybody here, we are stakeholders, right? Even the attorneys that are here or were here because you play a role when you are certifying the photos, the proof of residence for the learner's permit, all of those. If there are any doctors here, you play a role, right? So the Island Traffic Authority is a statutory body of the Ministry of Energy, Transport, and Telecommunications. So that's the new name. Previously, we were a unit in the ministry, the then Ministry of, well, various names. Ministry of Transport and Mining, Ministry of Works and Housing, but we were a unit in the ministry, and we have 15 service hubs, you know them as examination depots, across the island. One is down the road, the Port Maria Service Hub. And so our main functions include driver management. So we're talking about driver's licenses, learner's permits, certification and licensing of driving schools and driving instructors. We have traffic management, which is also a delegated function to the National Works Agency. We also have ensuring road safety. So we have a statistical unit that analyzes the data. So we're able to tell you. So we get information from the police every morning after a crash. So we have a daily report that goes out, or weekly, monthly, and we have an annual report that will be coming out. The officer made mention earlier that we lost 374 lives last year. So our annual report and our other reports will break down that data. So we can tell you that males represent 85% of that 374. So 318 were males, right? We can tell you how many children died, 18. We tell you that the top parishes, St. Catherine is a top parish. In this parish, Rio Nuevo was mentioned earlier, hotspot roadway. Other hotspot roadways include PJ Patterson Highway, Salt Creek Main Road in Hanover. We have the North-South Highway, Old Harbor Main Road, the Spanish Town Bypass. In Kingston, we know we have like Constant Spring Road, those hotspots. So our statistics, and if you are here and let's say you want to get these statistics, we can add you to our database as well, right? We also have vehicular safety. So that's where the certificate of fitness comes in, which I'm going to get into a little later down, because we have the e-fitness now. And then, so those are our main functions, and they fall under three main divisions, or two main divisions: technical services, and we have client services. All right. So based on our statistics, Sunday was the deadliest on our roads when we look at the statistics last year. Sunday, based on our analysis of the data. Right. July recorded the highest number of fatalities last year. And July is summer. Right. Then we have you made mention of the father that was charged for causing death. When it comes to our children, I know when the Road Traffic Act first took effect, there was an uproar when persons heard about the child restraint systems, right? And then we had to, well, not me, but they had to go back and they had to put out new regulations or amended regulations regarding that. It is very important that our children are restrained in the vehicle. What we recommend, if your child is under 4 feet, they should be seated in the back seat. Right? Under 4 feet in the back seat. Some persons used to say age, but you have some 12-year-olds that are very small, right? So we use the height. If they're over 4 feet, they can be seated in the front seat, but they must be belted, right? The seat belt on. In the back, all back seat passengers must wear seat belts, right? And under the law, if your passenger is not wearing the seatbelt, you are getting the ticket for the passenger not wearing their seatbelt. 2 points. And the point system, which you touched on it, so you did so well with that earlier, right? So you're getting the ticket for the passengers not wearing the seatbelt. All right. Last year, November, every November, the third Sunday is observed as World Day of Remembrance for Road Traffic Victims. And the theme for last year was Lost Talents. And what that team centered around was those who we lost and they never got to reach their full potential. So those persons that could have been doctors, those persons that could have been lawyers, they had dreams, they had aspirations, but their lives were cut short due to road crashes. And you'll hear me say road crashes throughout my presentation because some years ago the decision was taken to not use the word accident because a lot of what we're seeing on our roads can be prevented. All right, so we use crashes or collisions. All right, so a little more on our data. So up to this morning, we lost 4 persons on our roads. When we compare it to the corresponding period last year, so we're talking about January, this time we lost 8. Right, so that's a 50% reduction, but it's 4 lives too much. Right, we have an active public education program, and when the courts call, I don't hesitate. When I see an email from the courts, I don't hesitate. If I have 2 or 3 events, I ensure that we split the event and I'm coming to the court event because I love to give the information to the other symposium, the different public education sessions. All right, so now I'm going to touch some of the other changes or some of the operations of the IT as it relates to learner's permit, driver's license, e-fitness, and some information about the demerit point system. So for the provisional driver's license, there are some changes as it relates to that. I know many of you here probably have your driver's license already, but you may have children or you have relatives that need to get their learner's permit. There are some changes under the Road Traffic Act as it relates to the obtaining of the learner's permit. So previously, years ago, persons could have gone to the tax office with I don't know how much it was back then, and you go with your photo and you fill out a form and you get your learner's permit. Now you have to do a road code test. That's 20 multiple choice questions on the road code, right? And the pass mark is 15 out of 20. You have to do a medical to obtain your learner's permit. You have to submit proof of residence and identity. And that's why I mentioned earlier that the attorneys and the JPs and all of those persons, they are critical because they have to sign these. And these are in addition to your 3 passport size photos, your application form. And once you pass the test, so you make an appointment at one of our service hubs, you take the test, you pass, you get a sealed envelope to take to the tax office. You can go to any tax office, and the envelope must remain sealed until it gets to the tax office. If you open the envelope before it gets to the tax office, it will be considered tampered with, and you'll have to go back to the hub to get it verified and a sealed envelope to take back to the tax office. If you get a sealed envelope, it means you have passed. If you fail the test, you will not get an envelope. Right? So you don't need to see if me pass or fail. Right? So you want to ensure that you maintain a sealed envelope until it gets to the tax office. When you get to tax office, you pay $1,800 to obtain the permit. When you obtain the permit, there are some conditions now and there are changes. You have to wait at least 6 months before you can obtain your driver's license. So gone are the days when you get the permit today and you run to go and get the driver's license next week, right? You have to wait 6 months under this new regime, and this applies to persons who would have gotten their permit since February 1, 2023, right? So let's say you had a permit, because there are people who have renewed permits after permits after permits. So let's say you had 2 permits like 10 years ago, but now you want to renew. You'd still have to go through the entire process. But it means if you can prove that you had those permits, you won't have to wait 6 months, right? No, there are some conditions when you have that permit. You must be accompanied by a licensed driver, right? And that licensed driver must have their license for at least 3 years, right? And they must sit in the front passenger seat, right? And you as the learner must be in the driver's seat, belted. And you must have the L displayed at the front of the vehicle and at the back, same for the motorcycle, right? And for the motorcycle, the officer mentioned earlier, because they're the number 1 category dying, they should not be carrying a pillion rider when learning to drive a motorcycle, right? If the permit expires, you don't need to go through the entire process of making an appointment, sitting the road code test. You'll simply go to tax office to renew the 2 passport size photos, the expired permit, your TRN, and the form that's there. So basically, you're just going to tax office, $1,800 as well for the renewal of the learner's permit. when it comes to the driver's license, and those are just some of the terms and conditions. One important one is the speed limit. When you're learning to drive, you must adhere to all speed limits, except where the speed limit is 110. On the PJ Patterson Highway, the learner driver sticks to 80 kilometers. All right. The driver's license now, the officer made mention of the three classes or new classes of driver's licenses. Class A for motorcycles. So gone are the days when you just have the learner's permit. You're driving around perpetually, right? Because you don't need to get your license. You have to get a Class A driver's license for motorcycle. Class B is now private purposes. Class C, PPV and commercial, or vehicles for hire and reward, right? So if you have a general or private now, it doesn't mean that your license is not valid. If it's, well, once it doesn't expire, you can continue driving on your general or private. But when it expires and you go to TAJ to renew, you will switch to the relevant class. So if you have a private, you will switch to a class B. If you have a general, you will switch to a class C. But of course, class C. But there are different weights within the classes. Now, under the new Road Traffic Act, you must obtain a class B before you can obtain a class C. So those persons who used to just say, oh, I want a general license. No, you have to start with a B. Yes, so you have to start with a B, and then after 3 years of having the class B, you can upgrade to a class C. However, there's a little incentive, I should say. If you get a class B, but you know, maybe for commercial purposes or for the nature of your work, you want to upgrade to operate a vehicle not exceeding 7,000 kg, you can do so immediately after getting the B. But anything over 7,000 kg, you will have to wait 3 years before you can make that upgrade. And of course, for upgrading in other areas, such as adding PPV, adding more weights, you would make that application, right? Substitute, it was mentioned earlier about substitute driver's license, and that's where we continue the partnership with TAJ. So once somebody loses their driver's, so it can be lost, damaged, or stolen, you make a report to TAJ. TAJ will liaise with the ITA to check your records to see if you have any outstanding tickets as well. We give a report to TAJ, and then the process continues from there. All right, we also have driving abstracts. So the driving abstract, I always tell people, it's like a report card. You know, you go to school, you get a report of, you know, how you've been throughout the term or the year. The driving abstract gives a breakdown of your driver's license, right? Or an overview of your driver's license, right? So it tells you the first issue date, what you're licensed to drive, and it will tell you if you have outstanding tickets, warrants, any revocations, everything about the driver's license, right? And usually companies that are hiring drivers request this driving abstract a lot. So for example, when the new JUTC buses came in and the rural school buses, we had an influx of applicants for driving abstracts because JUTC wants to know what kind of drivers they're hiring, right? And for persons, especially overseas, they request this driving abstract. For if you're in Canada, in order to get the Canadian driver's license, they require a driving abstract. Some people will say driving history or driving record, but they will request a driving abstract from your home country to see what kind of driver you were in your home country, so they know what kind of driver you will be in their country, right? So the driving abstract, we normally tell people, if you have outstanding tickets, clear those, because the driving abstract will state that Mass John has 20, 30, 40, 60 outstanding tickets, right? So you pay those tickets, then the abstract will say you have 0 tickets, right? Well, it will tell you that you don't have any outstanding tickets, but some may further request that the tickets that you had, they want to see a breakdown of what your tickets, what the tickets were for. So let's say Mass John had 20 tickets, but him clear all of them. But the company wants to know, what were these 20 tickets for that you got? Because you say you don't have any outstanding, but they want to know if you paid any, or, you know, the record is, how the record is. And Mass John has 20 speeding tickets. Then you know that they're not going to hire you to drive children around, right? So that's the abstract is like a informer. So we implore you to be good drivers as it relates to that, right? It was made mention of the ticket information management system earlier. So different entities within the sector has different levels of control or access. So the courts can, the courts have their access. We at IET, we have access to the system because we have to check it for substitute, for abstract, and for other things. For example, when a driving instructor submits their applications and stuff like that. So the Teams is very important. We have a helmet drive at the Island Traffic Authority because we believe in public education. And as I mentioned, one of our core functions is ensuring road safety. And so we distributed many helmets and we still have helmets to give away. And so we welcome the partnership. We are partnered with the police to distribute those as well. We are partnered with civil society, so the churches, the motorcycle groups, and all of that. So when we come to these public education sessions, we carry helmets as well. We didn't carry not today because of the nature of this event, but no man, we can always get them to the hub and you can pick them up if the police wants, and we can always get them to you, right? We're also looking to get some more so that we can continue the partnership. Yes, definitely. All right. Now, we have done countless presentations at companies, at schools. In fact, when I reach the school section, I'll talk about that. But there's one company that we normally collaborate with. Normally, we try to do presentations with companies that have like a fleet of drivers. It's like the bearers, the delivery companies, all of those companies. And one of those companies, based on our interactions with them and our submission of like the statistics and all of that, they have transitioned all of their motorcyclists to motor car drivers because they have recognized the higher rate of fatalities on our roads. And so they have transitioned all except one because of medical conditions. So all the other, because they have locations in about 5 parishes, so they have transitioned all of those except the one to driving cars for their delivery efforts. And that, I think that's something a lot of companies need to, I know based on the nature of the work, not all can do it, but where possible, we would implore the companies to do that. We have done several campaigns. I remember we have Stop the Foolishness campaign because a lot of the things that are happening on our roads are indeed foolishness, right? We have had Stay Alive in 2025 last year. We have had Alert Today, Arrive Tomorrow, right? And we have also had some ads that we have done. For example, I don't know if you've ever seen this ad on TV with Mr. Death. So it's like you're in the vehicle, you close the door, you turn on the light in the vehicle, and Mr. Death is sitting beside you, like it's a reminder to put on your seatbelt. You're walking on the sidewalk on the wrong side of the road. So we in Jamaica we drive on the left, right? So we recommend that you walk facing oncoming traffic. So in the video we have like you're walking with your back turned to traffic, and Mr. Death is walking behind you. A man steps out of his house, Death is staring you in the face, right? And he goes in and change. You're running the red light or about to run the red light, and Death pulls up beside you. So we are looking to put these back on TV. And in addition to some new ones, because what we are realizing that we need to do now, we are trying to move away from just saying, don't speed, wear your seatbelt. We want to show you now what happens when you don't do it. So we're not just going to tell you, oh, do that or don't do that. We're going to show you now the consequences. And when we do our public education, we go with graphic images. We're showing you when you don't wear your shin guard, when you wear shorts and slippers, we're showing you how the foot look, right? Your toe dig off. Yeah, man, they don't want to see it, but we have to show them. So that's where we're trying to go. Maybe not to put those on TV, but when we go in the grassroots, go in the communities and the biker communities, we're showing them these images because it's very important that they know how important wearing these protective gears are. All right, so as it relates to the demerit points, you would have touched on that well, but just to remind you that the Island Traffic Authority under the Road Traffic Act can suspend your driver's license based on the accumulation of demerit points. Just to remind you, 10 to 13, 6 months, 14 to 19, 1 year, 20 and over, 2 years. And as was said earlier, the courts can still assess the situation and can even disqualify or revoke your driver's license, right? Now, when it comes to the certificate of fitness, it's a very important piece of document. Now, since July 21, 2025, our fitness system has gone digital, just like the motor vehicle registration certificate. All right, but for the fitness, what this means, new validity periods. And what do I mean by new validity periods? So, new vehicles will have a validity period of 5 years. What constitutes a new vehicle under the law? Three things must be met before we can say this vehicle is a new vehicle. The first one, it must have mileage of 250 kilometers or under, right? The second one must be on a manufacturer's invoice or never registered or licensed in any other jurisdiction, right? So we're talking about brand new vehicles, and it must be 2 years old or newer or younger. So those three criteria must be met for it to be considered a new vehicle, right? So if you bought a vehicle, let's say last year January, and tear off the plastic because you're like right, you don't tear off the plastic, so you're saying, oh, it's still new because of last year it buy. The fact that it has passed 250 kilometers, it has been registered already. So since this new regime now, because you got your fitness already, you will not benefit from that. It's when you go to renew, you will benefit from 3 years. So the first validity period is 5 years. That's for new vehicles. Then you have 3 years for vehicles 10 years or younger. And then you have 1 year for those vehicles that are over 10 years. So that 1 year validity period remains, right? What it also means is that, well, the fitness inspection fees remain the same. So even though it's 5 years, it's not going to be 5 times the amount that you used to pay for the 1 year. It's the same fee. So for example, a regular, let's say sedan, $4,500 for the inspection fee, paid at tax office, inline or online, right? So that's the fee. No 5 times, 3 times, 4, 5. It's $4,500, right, for the inspection. So you pay the fee at tax office. You present one of our service hubs, the receipt, and you must come with an email address, right? Because that's where you're going to get your certificate of fitness. So your inspection receipt, the payment receipt from TAJ, your email address, and you will come do the regular inspection of your vehicle. And once the vehicle has passed the inspection, the details will be placed in the system, and you'll get an email that gives you your certificate number. That's a 6-digit number. For those who would have seen it before, or you will be going to get it done, you'll see a 6-digit number, and it will say certificate number. Beside the 6-digit, they will have in bracket some asterisks or bullet points and the last 4 digits of your chassis number. It's there so that you can identify the vehicle that the certificate number is for. Because there are some companies or agencies that might send 5 vehicles for fitness. If you get 5 emails coming to one, you're not going to know which number is. So the chassis number is used to identify the vehicle. So when you get that email, it will tell you that the 6-digit number is your certificate number, and you must input your chassis number, which is on your vehicle documents. So we're not going to send it in the email for security reasons, right? But we give you the last 4 digits of the number so you can know that this is the chassis number that corresponds with this vehicle. When you put that certificate number now into a system, the portal is called the Certificate Generation and Distribution System. That's the CGDS portal. So on the portal, there are 2 things you'll see: registration and certificate of fitness. For the certificate of fitness, you'll select that, put in your 6-digit number. In some cases, you might say 5 numbers, but it's usually 6. And then in the next area, you'll put your chassis number that's found on your vehicle documents, right? Your chassis number, and then you'll generate your certificate of fitness. So it will tell you that the fitness is active. It will give you the expiration date. You can screenshot, print, download, but keep on your person. But what the law says is that you don't need to have, because you don't have the physical fitness anymore, you don't need to present it to the police, right, police? But because they can use the smart check. Is a smart check, that's the name of it, the smart check app, right? But you must have it you can have it for your peace of mind, right, and for your convenience. because you might need it to do other business, right? So the police can check for the validity of the fitness and the registration using your registration plate, right? Now, the fitness, as I mentioned, it's valid for the different periods. However, there is no grace period for certificates of fitness. There is no grace period for certificates of fitness. Therefore, if your fitness expires today, today's what? Today's the 8th or is the 7th? The 8th, right? If you if you go out tomorrow, you're going to the beach and the police stops you, you have there's nothing in the law that says you are supposed to drive with a fitness beyond today, right? And so when you come to the court, right, or a judge here has the right to, well, or if you get the ticket and you don't pay it and you come to court within the 30 days that you come to court, right, then you know you're at fault. But even though it doesn't have a grace period, under the amended law, you can renew up to 90 days, right? You can renew the fitness early, right? Prior to the expiration date. Just as the registration certificate, you can renew up to 90 days. The driver's license can also be renewed 60 days before it expires, right? So, and let me remind you about the point system as well. It was mentioned earlier. Persons normally say, how much point? Oh, me lose points now. Me get a ticket and me lose 5 points. You gain points. So you start with 0 points. You don't have nothing as you build it up, right? So when you commit an offense, you get gifts. Those are those are the gifts you give yourself. You get the points. And when you reach a certain amount, when you reach 10 now, as I mentioned earlier, you get the bigger reward now. But what the law says, if you accumulate points that do not warrant the suspension of the driver's license, so that's, let's say, 9 points. Don't want you to get any, but let's say you get 9 points and you don't get any more. Those points will be expunged after 15 months, right? But if you reach 10, don't think about any any expungement, because no, you'll receive a notice of suspension and you'll have to surrender your driver's license to the authority. And mentioned earlier, driver's license, some persons use their driver's license for business, and we have had cases where persons write, oh, my license was suspended, I need to carry such person to the hospital, and I need to do this and I need to do that, and I have a business to run. Don't get any tickets. Adhere to the road code, adhere to the Road Traffic Act and the attendant regulations, and you will be fine. So I just want to implore all of us here, even the judges, let's continue to be partners in this. I don't even want to say fight against, but in this road safety mission, ensuring that our roads are safer. 374 last year, and that can go up because normally when the year ends, we have a 30-day window. So if somebody met in a crash in December and they die in January, 30 days after, that number or that statistic is added to the 2025 statistics. So we're at 374 now, and I'm hoping that's where it remains. Right? So let's continue to be safe road users. Let's do our part. If you need the Island Traffic Authority to come to your company, your school. Oh, by the way, I mentioned I was going to your church. Anywhere possible. Road users are everywhere. Right? We have an active learner driver education program. It was launched at York Castle High in 2020. Wonderful. So we launched that initiative in 2023. They were the first high school. So what the program does, we go in and we educate the students, all students, but only certain persons can get the learner's permit. So we do a public education session with all students, especially the upper school students, road code, dangers of driving, distractions, everything possible, the Road Traffic Act. And then after that presentation, we arrange, so we have a special arrangement, and we basically carry the hub to the school, and we allow the students to take the road code test on campus and to get their learner's permit before they graduate high school. And this is an initiative aimed at, ensuring that they are legal drivers, safe drivers, because we have received reports of students driving illegally, borrowing their parents' vehicle, right? Going supermarket, students died that way. I remember one case in Petersfield, Westmoreland. Two students died on a motorcycle on their way to school, right? So yeah, so this initiative is aimed at curtailing all of that. So we would have done a lot of schools since then, and we'd have reached out to some schools in St. Mary. We have not gotten a response. So if you are from a school in St. Mary and you want your school to be the first St. Mary school to benefit from this initiative, because we have had St. Anne already, Portland is coming up. So if you want your school in St. Mary, if you're from St. Mary, or if you have another school in mind and you want us to take the initiative there, don't be afraid to reach out to us. All right? Wish you all the best. Thank you very much, and let's continue the partnership.
Before I ask any question, vehicle Black Mazda 0439KQ. That's Black Mazda 0439KQ. You're blocking someone. There is also an Axio, though that famous vehicle, gray 3785HR. That's 3785HR. You're blocking someone as well. Thank you. All right. See a question there. Please come forward. And I have one as well. Come. Yes, we need to hear you. No, man, we want everybody to hear. Yes.
Is a bouquet
You've
come
been
with?
doing well so far, man.
Yeah, man, I like the information, so I like
Oh.
recording it, and I don't have permission to
Okay.
record it digitally, so I do what I can.
Okay.
All right, so a couple of things. 10 points. That's 1 stop sign and 2 seatbelts.
Yes.
And that's 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody considered that this might not be wise. We have, let's call it steel curb in Highgate. The officers would know. Right, when they're coming out of the town to go either back down the road or come to Port Mary. It's the hardest place to see. You cannot see around and you have to peep out of the road in order to see. It's very dangerous. If an officer sees you inching out, that could be 6 points. That could be 6 points for inching out. Yeah, man, because you'll be running the stop sign.
So you stop at the stop sign
Mm-hmm.
and then you inch forward. But
Right.
so then you contest it. If you're saying
Yeah.
that you stopped at the sign, then you inch forward, then you come to court and challenge it.
Right, and I'm saying it, but I'm just looking at 1 stop sign, 2 seatbelts. That's
And
your
there's
license for 6
and
months.
there's also an offense in the list of offenses that carry 10 points. I think it's careless driving causing collision. Yes, that alone is 10 points. So
For that though, your license is not what the suspension will not be done on the first offense. So once that's a causing collision.
yes, the 10 points.
It's
Yeah.
on the second. All right. So that's the minor issue. The major one. No, man, don't worry, it's the major one.
Okay.
We operate on the premise, and you mentioned the number of deaths.
Mm-hmm.
And officer earlier, when presenting, said that we have not gone under 300 in some time. Could it be that the reason for that is that we're operating on the wrong diagnosis? Because everybody seems to say speeding is the number 1 cause of deaths. It is not correct. No research supports this premise, and we keep saying it. And that might be one of the reasons. Yes, I see you making up a face. The number 1 cause of accidents or collisions, as you said, failure to yield. Failure to yield. Germany in 2019 says that it has the safest roads, yet it has the Autobahn, which has no speed limits. I'm suggesting that our operation or way of looking at these things might be incorrect.
But may I
I just
ask
want to
what?
finish and then
Okay.
our motorists have limited information.
Mm-hmm.
The road from Anota Bay, from a part of Portland coming down, has no white line and no reflectors. When bright lights hit you at night, it is impossible to see the roads. There is no turn-off sign for the turn-off to go to Highgate. There's no marking to say you have reached the intersection to go to Highgate. You are operating on a road that's coming downhill. Downhill, 80 kilometers per hour, you have to go across the intersection. There's no marking at night to say you've reached. So you are now hoping that somebody is braking when coming down the hill. These are things that contribute to our death. We're talking about potholes in some corners that we have to swing from because if you're dropping them, know that you're not coming out.
Yeah.
Right? I I went to Kingston in one and I looked at the pothole and I'm driving a pickup. And I know that if I'm driving a sedan, I'm not coming out of that pothole alive. These are some of the things that we have to pay attention to. So, like I said, I don't want to stay long because, I want to be succinct.
Yes.
And
I
just
I agree. I agree because when it comes to road safety, there are different factors that contribute to safer roads. We have engineering, right? So the road markings, the fixing of the potholes, infrastructure, pedestrian facilities, signage, all of that. So that's engineering. Then we have the education aspect, ensuring that our road users understand the road, how comply with the rules of the road. And then we have the enforcement side. So this is where the different players come. So that's why we have the courts, the police for the enforcement, even the IT as well for the enforcement, NAA, the municipal corporations, the well, because you know that there are different agencies that are responsible for different roadways, right? NAA is responsible for main roads. Municipal corporations are for the parochial roads, and then you have the farm roads, which is, I think, RADA or the Ministry of Agriculture, right? So we all have a part to play in ensuring that our roads are safer. All right, so we do understand your frustration, but when he said something about the number one cause being yield, but I wanted to ask what failure to yield. But I wanted to ask what research in Jamaica gave you that because our analysis of data, our statistics showed us that the top three causes are speeding with no regard to condition, failure to keep to the proper traffic lane, right? Pedestrian error, and there are others such as swerving and failing to keep all of that, right? So yes, even animals, pedestrians walking out into the road, and that's a big problem. In fact, I'm wrapping up. Last year, we saw an increase in our elderly fatalities, a major increase. I don't remember the percentage, but I think it was like the year before, it was about 30 something, and then last year it was 71. I believe. So it means now our partnership with the National Council for Senior Citizens and all those church groups and anywhere that we have our pensioners and so. Interestingly, when the law just took effect, and that section in the law that speaks to the renewal of driver's license for elderly, there was an uproar. What's that? You didn't like there was an uproar, especially on Twitter, with those persons that the elite persons who are on Twitter. They're like, why? We're not the ones causing, and but we're seeing a lot. I mean, the data shows that our young people are causing, but we still understand that medical conditions also contribute to maybe not the deaths, but the crashes as well. Visual acuity, visual mobility, dementia, all of those things. The other day, somebody wrote to us saying a person is 78 and they want to know what driving assessments can be done because the person is showing signs of onset dementia and and even your hearing, all of those things, right? So you have a question. I heard you have a question for me.
All right. My thing with the old people is that this has implication for insurance because the insurance company does want one little thing not to give you the insurance coverage. So that's my problem in relation to the older persons. And I'm going to get there eventually if God spares my life. My question is in relation to the examination depot. Now, as somebody who has gone overseas and gotten car certified overseas to drive before, I have a problem with how we determine fitness in Jamaica. Overseas, you drive on a machine and your vehicle is tested as to it being roadworthy and it does everything and you get your thing, your certificate, you're good, you go. Why on earth is my vehicle going to the depot to drive like it going on a race course, which me not do? At no time in my life of driving over 20 odd years have I ever driven a vehicle like that. But to test the roadworthiness, only going to see if you can turn over the vehicle? That's my question.
Thank you for that question. It's a valid question because we have seen the videos, we have heard, And the intent of testing the vehicle is really to, so I'm gonna address that part, but the intent of like for the examiner or the inspector going in the vehicle to test is to ensure that, for example, the brakes are in good working condition and other things, right? However, I can understand the frustration when you see them driving the vehicle certain ways and you're wondering, if that's really your vehicle. That's something we're addressing. It's something the administration is looking at, because I remember when it was COVID, we had stopped because of the regulation surrounding sanitization and all of that and people's health. And I know when that stopped, persons were happy, and then it resumed. So the administration is looking into how we can change the standards or the operating procedures to see how we can ensure that our customers are comforted in knowing that their vehicle is being handled with care. How and invest in the machine, right? So that's something that we'll be looking at. Hopefully, we will be able to put out something as to how we will be changing that, right? But as you know, we're taking steps to digitize a lot of things. So hopefully, we'll hear that no more manual. All right. Well, thank you very much.
All right, I want to thank Mr. Matthews for a very animated and a very informative presentation, and we were all engaged in relation to what just happened just now. And we have our final presentation for this afternoon, right? And this is from National Work Agency, and this is from Mr. Ray Parchment, if he's here. No answer for Mr. Parchment? Is there anybody here from National Works Agency? Maybe he left. Well, we sure? This is it, Vote of thanks comes next. So it's not like we can squeeze him in after this. Mr. Ray Parchment, my mouth is loud, and I don't even want to extend it over the microphone. Anybody seen Mr. Ray Parchment? Very well. No answer. Warrant? Yes. Very well. All right. At this time, I'll invite Miss Lawrence, my clerk of court, to do the vote of thanks.
Good afternoon. It is an honor and privilege for me to deliver the vote of thanks, and as I like to put it, close out gracefully. I wish to acknowledge His Honor Mr. Broderick Smith, Chief Judge of the Parish Court, I should say, Mrs. Trisha Cameron Anglin, Director of Court Administration Division, and also her team. Her Honor Mrs. Mitzi Beaumont Daly, Senior Judge of the Traffic Court in Kingston. Our superintendents and deputy superintendents of police, distinguished guests, speakers, and stakeholders. Your presence and honoring your commitment to be here alone speak volumes. Commendation goes to our chairperson, who is one of the well-dignified, astute judge at the St.Mary Parish Court, Her Honor Mrs. Tracy Ann Robinson, and the judge who predominantly conducts our traffic court, and of course, my judge. To all our esteemed St. Mary Parish Court judges, Her Honor Mrs. Nicole Kelly, Senior Judge, and Her Honor Mrs. Georgette Davis, your contribution and effort to the planning and organization and also smooth running of this program is commended. We want to express gratitude to our speakers. We had more than 2 speakers, so that's a lot for today, but it was very informative. Deputy Superintendent of Police, Mr. Ricardo Beckford, and also Senior Superintendent of Police, Mr. Lloyd Darby. Both presenters stressed the importance of compliance with the road law to reduce collision and fatalities caused as a result of accidents, and as they put it now, collisions, for want of a better word. Her Honor, Mrs. Mitzi Beaumont Daly, Senior Judge of the Traffic Court, gave a sound, informative presentation on how road users treat offenses casually, and this should not be so, given that no apology, no fine can undo tragedy caused by non-compliant road users. I repeat, no apology, no fine can undo tragedy caused by non-compliant road users, especially when there is a death. A fatality, sorry. She further expounded that demerit points accumulated to a certain number can warrant suspension of one's driver's license. And she also indicated that driving is a privilege and not a right. Compliance, fairness, and justice is the order of the day. Miss Andrea Hilton from Tax Administration Jamaica manager reminded us that when you are ticketed with an offense, you have 30 days after the ticket date to pay, and you can now do it either in-line or online. So you shouldn't have any excuse as to why you didn't pay it in time, except if you choose to contest it in coming to court. And of course, when you come to court, you pay more. Mr. Rowan Smith from the Transport Authority, the manager, reminded us that their presence and work on the road is for all road users' safety and not to cause chills. And of course, he addressed the issue as it relates to badges and so forth, and he did make it open to some of you to go tomorrow to the Transport Authority and have your cases resolved as it relates to the badge issue. So do take up the offer so that when you come to court, that can be dealt with already. Mr. Dante Matthews from the Island Traffic Authority, a very passionate speaker, I would say, did express that one of the main tasks of the Island Traffic Authority is to ensure that vehicles are roadworthy, and this helps to prevent collisions as a result of motor vehicle defects, along with other things. Thank you for all your presence that you have graced us with, and the knowledge you are comfortable in sharing with us. We know your schedules at your respective organization is a busy one, and of course, it is not child's play. So we really appreciate your commitment and dedication to the success of this traffic symposium, which is one of the first of its kind. Yes. We found immense value in the conversations and discussions had, and of course the public, I do note that they were very much engaged and asking questions, so it does say a whole lot. Of course, it is noteworthy to thank the operational manager, Ms. Karen Johnson, and her decoration team for this elegance and vibrant decoration and welcoming hospitality provided to everyone. They did so much with so little spacing. We need a bigger space. Finally, I wish to express gratitude to all distinguished guests, members of staff, stakeholders, members of the bar, and members of the public who attended and participated, whether you came in person or, as I understand it, there are persons joining virtually. This symposium would not have been possible without you. With much appreciation to all attendees, I now conclude this traffic symposium. Please travel safely home, and you are most welcome to the next symposium. Remember, as you share the road, be empowered and share the knowledge learned today, and of course apply it. It's one thing to have the knowledge, it's another thing to apply it to on the roads. Thank you.
She did extremely well, didn't she? Yes. Yes. All right. So just for closing, because I'm not going to go through all that she just did, to do another one. Protect, not punish. 12 a.m. to 4 a.m. road spot check. Thank you, DSP. Need crash problem to be addressed, SSP Derby. So we're working on that. No triviality as it relates to traffic matters. In line or clock it. Yes. And Mr. Smith, Transport Authority, we have them what? Covered. And then we had Mr. Matthews, who was just our right spice to close the afternoon. So, without further ado, thank you everyone for being so patient with us. Thank you everyone for being so attentive. And we look forward to the next symposium of having you all here. Thank you. Have a good afternoon. All right, we're going to have the national anthem, so we're going to ask us all to stand for the national anthem. Got you. Safe journey, everyone.